checking out a 2019 Indian Chieftain. Here's your host, the Bozo. What's up, everybody? Let's go over this Indian Chieftain and check out the specs. We'll check out the modifications that have been done to it, and then we'll take it out on the road, give it a rip, and see what she's all about. See how we like it. See what it does on our raking system. Let's check it out. This Chieftain is a 2019 model, and back in 2019, brand new, this bike was $25,999. Nowadays, in 2024, if you're looking at a 2019 or similar model, depending on condition and mileage and stuff like that, you can expect to pay anywhere between $12.5 grand to $20 grand. And here you got the belle of the ball, the 1811cc 49-degree V-twin, which comes out to 111 cubic inches. Also want to note that this engine is called a Thunderstroke. A Thunderstroke. Like, come on, how cool is that? And Indian doesn't specify horsepower numbers. However, on a dyno, it produced 76 horsepower and 105 pounds of torque at the rear tire. We also have a 6-speed transmission and a belt final drive on this motorcycle. In the front, we have a 19-inch cast aluminum wheel wrapped in a Dunlop American Elite 130/60/19 tire. In the braking department, we have dual 300mm floating rotors and Indian branded 4-piston calipers. In the rear, we have a 16-inch cast aluminum wheel wrapped in Dunlop American Elite 180/70/16 tires. The rear braking is taken care of by a single 300mm floating rotor and a 2-piston caliper that is also Indian branded. For the suspension, in the rear we have a single shock with air adjust, and it has 4.5 inches of suspension travel. The front suspension is 46mm conventional forks with 4.7 inches of travel. And we have a total of 5.1 inches of ground clearance. Fuel capacity on the Indian Chieftain is 5.5 gallons. And the MPG is around 40, so you should be able to get over 200 miles to the tank with this sucker. The 2019 Chieftain is 827 pounds wet and ready. Which I also want to point out is 3 whole pounds less than a Harley-Davidson Street Glide. Will we be able to feel that 3 pounds out on the street? Absolutely not. The 2019 model also came with all LEDs except for the headlight. Whoa! Now that the bike's flipped around, let's throw a leg over it and see how it feels. The 2019 Indian Chieftain has a seat height of 25.6 inches. That is insanely low and manageable. And sitting on it, I mean, there's an insane amount of room. Like, this does not feel big or cumbersome at all. And this is also coming from a guy who is 6 foot tall, 255 awesome pounds, with a 32-inch inseam. JK4 fronts, very vertically challenged people could ride this bike, as long as they're cool with the 800 plus pounds. Let's go over some of the electronics and stuff real quick. The key is in my pocket. It does just have a key fob, and to turn the motorcycle on, you just hit power, let it come up. So this bike has a 7-inch TFT touchscreen display, which is really, really nice. And it shows all the things that you want to see. Fuel range, average MPG, like I said, around 40, average speed, time, yada yada. And there are switches on both of these handles that let you sift through the information here. MPH, what gear you're in, voltage, you got time, temperature. It is a little chilly. Right now we're in sport mode. I'll show you that later. You obviously have music with speakers. I am not going to do that today unless my comm system dies, and then I might just have to blast Creed and make everybody hate me. I'd like to point out the adjustable brake lever, so you can customize it to whatever you want. This bike does have ABS, It is throttle by wire, so you have traction control. What do you say we start this sucker up and see how it sounds? Let's do that. Holy sweet Jesus. Can y'all even hear me? Woo! That bad boy's loud. That tab exhaust is no joke. I like it. It's very, very loud, but it has a very, very good sound, so I'm okay with it. I reckon there's nothing else to do but take this sucker out on the road. Let's do it. Let's get the show on the road. I can tell you when you're sitting on a hill, you can definitely feel the weight. Oh God. Woo! Yeah, that sucker's loud. First thing I notice when I sit on this bike is it's extremely comfortable. It's a cruiser, it's supposed to be though. The one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is like, I want my feet to be down here, but all the controls are way up here. So it's kind of weird having to like move my foot up quite a bit to change the gear and to hit the rear brake. I almost feel like they should be back further, but I'm also not used to riding cruisers, so that could be a thing. I can also tell you this thing is extremely loud. I would have to say that if this were my bike, I'd want to get different handlebars that brought my hands up a little higher. I am a big supporter of high handlebars on cruisers. I love, you know, being sat just about, I'd probably say like, I'd like to be like this on this bike. That'd be really nice. So as you can tell right now, we are in sport mode. Maybe after the twisty bits, I will put it in standard or touring. Woo, yeah, she's got torque. That is for damn sure. We are getting to our twisty bits. Well, as much twisty bits as I have here in the plains of Virginia. I am going to go very, very slow to try to give that U-Haul some space. Respect the dead and all that stuff. All right, let's go. Seems to not want to turn. Like I am having to, like it definitely wants to sit straight up. It is not liking going into a turn. We have Tour, we have Standard, and we have Sport. Right now we are in Sport. I know that to engage a different mode, you have to let go of the throttle, so no throttle, and we'll go into Standard and see how much of a difference it is. Right off the bat, the throttle is a lot smoother. You don't get as much punch right off the jump. You can still get it, but it's just not as soon. Oh yeah, it does not want to lean. Woo, that would have to take a while to get used to. I love this color. This metallic gunmetal gray type deal is really nice. Maybe I'll put the actual name of the paint on the bottom of the screen or something. The fit and finish on this bike is extremely good. Like all the details have been looked over. It is certainly a beautiful bike. Did y'all see that old car almost hit that Challenger because that Challenger doesn't know how to fucking drive? Fit and finish on this bike is amazing. It is beautiful. It is pretty funny, however, that like Indian puts their logo on every single tiny little piece. Like, you see the speakers right there? They say I. The clamps right here have the Indian logo. Like, everything on here has the Indian logo on it. I find that pretty funny. Obviously, the direct competitor to this bike is the Street Glide, which is also a really cool bike. So maybe in the future I could find a Street Glide to ride and try to compare them, see which one I would like better. Let's try tour mode, see how that does. Oh wow. It's like way dialed down. I am actually going to put it back in standard because I think that's my favorite. Actually, for right here, we'll put it in sport because we're getting to the turn where I like to waffle stomp it until I don't feel comfortable waffle stomping it anymore. Let me know down in the comments if you know what waffle stomping is. Don't say what it is. Just say, I know. So, that being said, when we come around this corner, I will mash on it pretty good until I feel like I'm at a speed where I probably shouldn't keep going. And we'll just see how it does. I encourage you to listen carefully, though. This thing is loud and proud, and it sounds pretty killer. So, turn your volume up and check it out. Real quick, I also want to point out, from the factory, they have a ram ball mount on this clamshell clamp here, which is freaking awesome. That's super sweet. Also want to point out that this is not my quad lock. This is the quad lock of the guy who owns this bike. I'm not going to say which phone mount I use because I'm not sponsored yet. What the shit? All right, let's go. Leave it in first. Let's go. It's got a lot of torque, but you can definitely feel the lack of horsepower with the amount of weight. At the higher RPMs, it kind of dies off. It's still fun. I could definitely still have fun with this bike, especially with that amount of torque. Let's see how this big pig does in a U-turn situation. U-turn's not its forte. Start talking about the dash here a little bit. I'm sure you all know I love this. So we have an analog tach with the gear indicator, odometer, fuel range with the fuel gauge, and an analog speedometer. But you also have this 7-inch TFT right here that displays all of the same information, and I love it. It is a touchscreen TFT. It is a color display. It gives you all of the information you want and more. This dash is awesome. I really, really like it. Oh, cool. Look, there's a little compartment there. That's nifty. More places to fit trinkets. Nice. All right, about to get on the highway, and as soon as we do, we will mash on it some. We'll give it some beans and see how it does. I also want to note that this does have self-canceling turn signals, which is nice for me because everyone knows I have a tendency to leave them on. Getting on the highway, we'll give it the beans, the old beans, and see how it does. That is full throttle. Not bad. However, we are on the highway now. So with this windscreen right here, it's putting the wind right under my beak, and it's kind of flailing my head. So, you know what? It'd be nice if it was a little taller. Oh, wait. Electric adjustable windscreen, baby. Wow. You know I love that. Right now, it's bringing it damn near clear over my helmet. So that's really, really nice. One cool thing about these highway bars, yeah, daddy, chill status. I could ride this for forever, especially with the cruise control. I could absolutely ride this bike all day. The highway is definitely where this bike is at home, because it's a cruiser. It's supposed to just cruise forever. And this is more than capable of doing that and doing it very, very well. I'm in a super comfortable spot right now. The seat is very, very comfortable. The rider triangle is comfortable. The only thing I would complain about is how far away the shifter is to where my feet want to be. But I mean, look at that. Just in straight chill mode, dude. Put the JK forefronts up on the highway bars and roll, baby. Talking about the mirrors, they are perfect. I have zero problems with them. They see over me very, very well. I can clearly see every vehicle behind me, and there is nothing bad I can say about the mirrors. So we're in sport mode right now. I think we're just going to leave it there for the rest of the trip, because we still need to do a 0 to 60 and braking test. With all that torque, the 0 to 60 and braking test ought to be pretty fun. Who do I think this bike is for? This bike is for a guy who wants a cruiser but doesn't want a Harley, if I'm being honest. Like, it really just depends on which one you like the look of more at this point. I've ridden plenty of Harleys, and after riding this Indian, this is my first Indian that I'm riding, by the way, and they're extremely comparable. No, I really think it would just come down to whatever you like the look of more. Personally, I think I like the look of this more than the Street Glide. I just think it looks cleaner, it looks cooler, in my eyes. That is my opinion. Take that shit with a grain of salt. Let me know which one you guys think looks better, this or a comparable Street Glide. I mean, you got to applaud Indian for, you know, competing with Harley at their own game. I mean, it's awesome that there's competition out there now, like real competition. There's been a bunch of other cruisers made by other manufacturers in the past, but none of them have ever gotten close to the reputation that Harley has, the feel and the vibe that Harley puts off. It's just very unique, and I think Indian did a killer job with it. Well, now is about the time that we go over the ranking system, and I promise one day I'll like get nice boards. I think I'll just do two. One will be like motorcycles that are good, just whatever is the best, like just a good motorcycle. And the other one will be which ones pull my heartstrings the most. Let's do the ranking for the 2019 Indian Chieftain. Visually, I think this bike looks absolutely wonderful. I think it's very muscular looking, it's very clean looking, it's got sleek lines. I'm gonna have to go with like an 8.5. It is a very, very good looking motorcycle. Versatility, I mean, it's super versatile, dude. So versatility, I think we'll have to go with a 7.25 because it has bags. You could absolutely ride this to work every day. You could go forever on it. And I'm sure it'll be very, very reliable for many years to come. Fun factor. I mean, the fun factor is a little low. It makes a boatload of torque. There is no doubt about that. And I do love that, and that is a good time. However, the horsepower dies off quite quickly. And to be honest, I am not a fan of the handling at all. So for fun factor, I'm going to go with a 5.75. I would say overall, everything considered, I think I'd have to give it a 7.75. I think that's very reasonable for this bike. Oh yeah, there's that torque. The exhaust discussion is something I'm curious what everybody thinks about. Loud exhaust, yay or nay? Let me know down in the comments. Like, this is quite loud, and it sounds really good, so I'm okay with it. All right, so I'm seeing only 70 miles for the fuel range. Last time I rode one of this guy's bikes, I returned it with a fuel light on, and I felt like a total dick about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and fuel this one up, so that won't be an issue. Let's try a realistic 0 to 60 and braking test. All right. In 3, 2, 1, go. ABS certainly works. The brakes are actually quite a bit better than I expected. They stopped the bike quick, and this is a big girl. 3, 2, 1. It certainly wants to spin the tire with all that torque. That is a good time for sure. And this is what I'm talking about with my feet being in a weird place. Is I was on the rear brake, and I was actually on just the shaft part. The brakes are much, much better than I expected, though, that I can tell you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the review of the 2019 Indian Chieftain. For all 17 of you that watched the video, and for all 4 of you that made it to the end, thank you so much. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Let me know down in the comments if there's any bike specifically you want me to try. Smell you later.